Finally, you'd like to use the technique called the waterboard. In this procedure, the individual is bound securely to an inclined bench, which is approximately 4 feet by 7 feet. The individual's feet are generally elevated. A cloth is placed over the forehead and eyes. Water is then applied to the cloth in a controlled manner. As this is done, the cloth is lowered until it covers the nose and mouth. Once the cloth is saturated and completely covers the mouth and nose, airflow is slightly restricted for 20 to 40 seconds due to the presence of the cloth. This causes an increase in carbon dioxide level in the individual's blood. This increase in carbon dioxide level stimulates increased effort to breathe. This effort, plus the cloth, produces a perception of suffocation and incipient panic, i.e., the perception of drowning. During those 20 to 40 seconds, water is continually applied from a height of 12 to 24 inches. After this period, the cloth is lifted and the individual is allowed to breathe unimpeded for 3 or 4 full breaths. The sensation of drowning is immediately relieved by the removal of the cloth. The procedure may then be repeated. The water is usually applied from a canteen cup or small watering can with a spout. You have orally informed us that this procedure triggers an automatic physiological sensation of drowning that the individual cannot control, even though he may be aware that he is in fact not drowning. You have also orally informed us that it is likely that this procedure would not last more than 20 minutes in any one application.
I was then dragged from the small box, unable to walk properly, and put on what looked like a hospital bed and strapped down very tight with belts. A black cloth was then placed over my face, and the interrogators used a mineral water bottle to pour on the cloth so that I could not breathe. After a few minutes, the cloth was removed, and the bed was rotated into an upright position. The pressure of the straps on my wounds was very painful. I vomited. The bed was then again lowered to a horizontal position, and the same torture carried out again, with the black cloth over my face and water poured on from a bottle. On this occasion, my head was in a more backward, downward position, and the water was poured on for a longer time. I struggled against the straps, trying to breathe, but it was hopeless. I thought I was going to die. I lost control of my urine. Since then, I lose control of my urine when under stress.
In order for pain and suffering to rise to the level of torture, the statute requires it to be severe. Although the confinement boxes, both small and large, are physically uncomfortable because their size restricts movement, they are not so small as to require the individual to contort his body to sit, small box, or stand, large box. You have also orally informed us that despite his wounds, Abeta remains quite flexible, which would substantially reduce any pain associated with being placed in the box. The facial slap and walling contain precautions to ensure that no pain, even approaching severe pain, results. The slap is delivered with fingers slightly spread, which you have explained to us is designed to be less painful than a closed hand slap. The slap is also delivered to the fleshy part of the face, further reducing any risk of physical damage or serious pain. Likewise, walling involves quickly pulling the person forward, then thrusting him against the flexible false wall. You have informed us that the sound of hitting the wall will actually be far worse than any possible injury to the individual. The use of a rolled towel around the neck also reduces the risk of injury. While it may hurt to be pushed against the wall, any pain experienced is not of the intensity associated with serious physical injury.
I was then placed again in the tall box. While I was inside the box, loud music was played again, and somebody kept banging repeatedly on the box from the outside. I tried to sit down on the floor, but because of the small space, the bucket with urine tipped over and spilled over me. I remained in the box for several hours, maybe overnight. I was then taken out, and again a towel was wrapped around my neck, and I was smashed into the wall with a plywood covering and repeatedly slapped in the face by the same 2 interrogators as before. I was then made to sit on the floor with a black hood over my head until the next session of torture began.
As we understand it, when the waterboard is used, the subject's body responds as if the subject were drowning, even though the subject may be well aware that he is, in fact, not drowning. You have informed us that this procedure does not inflict actual physical harm. Thus, although the subject may experience the fear or panic associated with the feeling of drowning, the waterboard does not inflict physical pain. As we explained in the Section 2340A memorandum, pain and suffering, as used in Section 2340, is best understood as a single concept, not distinct concepts of pain as distinguished from suffering. The waterboard, which inflicts no pain or actual harm whatsoever, does not, in our view, inflict severe pain or suffering. Even if one were to parse the statute more finely, to attempt to treat suffering as a distinct concept, the waterboard could not be said to inflict severe suffering. The waterboard is simply a controlled, acute episode lacking the connotation of a protracted period of time generally given to suffering.
This went on for approximately 1 week. During this time, the whole procedure was repeated 5 times. On each occasion, apart from one, I was suffocated once or twice and was put in a vertical position on the bed in between. On one occasion, the suffocation was repeated 3 times. I vomited each time I was put in the vertical position between the suffocation. During that week, I was not given any solid food. I was only given Ensure to drink. My head and beard were shaved every day. I collapsed and lost consciousness on several occasions. Even the torture was stopped by the intervention of the doctor. I was told during this period that I was one of the first to receive these interrogation techniques, so no rules applied. It felt like they were experimenting and trying out techniques to be used later on other people. Thank you.